What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass. Have an amazing guest, a repeat guest, someone I know very well, Darby, our agency scale specialist, who a lot of you have already chatted with. But we're going to talk about raising your prices and why that's important. And so let's go ahead and get into the episode. Hey, Darby.
Hey, Jason. How are you?
It's always kind of
The
goofy.
reason I'm laughing is because in the intro, it's got that picture of you with like the white puffy shirt where you do this. It always
Oh, you
cracks me
think
up.
it's the white puffy shirt from Seinfeld?
It makes me think of the Seinfeld episode. Every time I see it, all it's missing is like the little ruffles in the middle.
I don't want to
I
be a
think
pirate.
I hope everybody that watches on YouTube thinks of that every time from now until infinity.
It will definitely bring a smile. And it was not a puffy shirt, I don't think. Now I'm subconscious about it. Like,
I know, I can do that to you. That's what's fun.
I know that's not funny. All right. Oh man, this is gonna be a shit show. All right.
Yep.
So we've been talking a lot about pricing with agency owners, and you've been chatting with hundreds of agency owners for the past over the past year about raising their pricing. So what's the most common thing you see around people not raising their pricing or doing it wrong?
Just scared of the unknown, just lacking the confidence to do it. You know, they're hungry and they want to provide a good value and a good service, but without being able to connect with other people and know what other people are charging, and it's very hard to gauge yourself against your competition. And you need to win business to grow your agency, and you're scared if you're overcharged, you're not going to win the business. And I think that fear of the unknown is the biggest driving force behind not doing it.
And we were chatting in the mastermind last month, and there was some members that haven't raised prices in 5 years.
That's
Right? Like it's just thinking about that of going, what's the opportunity cost of and like what we keep seeing is they're fine with raising prices for new clients for the most part, right? But the old clients, why are they not going, like, why do you think they're not going back to their old clients and raising their pricing?
I think that they value the relationships, and I think that they want to maintain those relationships, and they feel a loyalty to those people, and they think that they have to bring additional value or additional service or something with it, right? But they aren't taking into consideration or account for the fact that over the 5 years that they started working with this client, that they're 5 times better at their job than they were when they started. And that client's now getting that massively increased quality of work and service and strategy for what they were paying 5 years ago, which doesn't make sense. And it's not that way in any other industry. I think there's so many components to it. And one of the other things that stands out to me too is the fact that one of the biggest challenges a lot of people face is capacity and bandwidth, right? Not only with their own time, but with their team's time, and able to keep up with fulfillment and delivery. And so what you're doing is you're handcuffing yourself to a client doing a ton of work at a heavily discounted price when you're bringing new clients in at a much higher price. It doesn't make sense, because it takes the same amount of time, effort, and energy to complete the work for that client that's a legacy client that's paying next to nothing or way less than they should be. So there's a huge opportunity cost there, because you don't have the space or the bandwidth to bring on any more of those newer clients that are paying what they should be. So, your loyalty is getting in the way of your own growth.
But they always say, well, they helped us grow this business to this point, so we need to keep staying loyal and
How
grandfather
much do
them
you
in.
want to grow their business?
Exactly.
It's almost like they don't take credit for what they've done. They don't have the perspective of the massive amount of growth and the way that their involvement has possibly changed their lives and their businesses for the better, and everything that they've contributed to that. So there's a debt of gratitude on both sides.
Well, when you're chatting with all these agency owners for the past year, or over a year now, um, do most of them, I feel that they don't understand the results that they're getting for their clients. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, that's one question I ask is, do you feel that you're effectively measuring and communicating client success? And are you doing it frequently enough? And that one always takes people a few minutes or a few seconds to really think before they answer, because it's pretty glaring most of the time that, very few people have a good answer for that. They all, for the most part,
They look scared,
say,
don't they?
they just go, wow, and depending on what type of agency you have, it can be a challenge. And but you have to find a way, right? And it could be simply asking the right questions. And I use you as an example with a lot of people because you have to be communicating in the sense that you have to be sharing with them the things that they care about. With you care about two things, right? If you're measuring how well somebody's doing their job for you, you don't want to see spreadsheets and numbers and formulas and all that crap. You care about two things, maybe, right? And if those two things look good, then everything is on track. And that's where that client success piece comes in, as well as really knowing what the client cares about, and that's part of your onboarding process. And if you're onboarding correctly and you're getting that part of the conversation right from the start, then you're setting yourself up for success as well, because then you can really relate back to them on the results you're getting in a manner that they know, understand, and most importantly care about.
I found in the years that if you understand the results and your team understands the results, then they're not going to have any question about what you charge. I remember, I tell a story sometimes where I remember my PM coming to me going, Jason, how do we charge over 100K for a website when it only costs us like 11,000 to do? I'm like, really good. I sleep really good at night.
On
um,
expensive sheets.
yeah, I was like, whew, like my head hits the pillow. I'm like, I'm out. And then until my wife hits me for snoring, like all of us, right? But I started communicating to her, and I realized then I wasn't communicating to her the value. I also realized I wasn't probably communicating the value to the clients. And so that was a pivotal, mistake on my part. Now that PM didn't work out because they still couldn't get over the fact that we were charging so much. But these people were making millions from the website. And as soon as I had that confidence there, especially for new clients coming in, then I could actually go back to the old ones. What's been a really good kind of system that you've seen for raising prices? Like, what's the right order in order to do that?
First and foremost, you have to have a healthy sales pipeline. You have to have that predictability to where you can be selective. So if you're raising prices on new clients coming in, you have other opportunities lined up right behind them in case you need to change or rethink your pricing strategy, because at the end of the day it's an experiment, every time along the way. So as you're getting it dialed in and figuring it out, you have to have a plethora of opportunities so that you're not just reliant only on the few that you have in front of you. So if you don't have a quality pipeline, that's key. There was a mastermind member actually that had a really good point too, that back to that client success conversation we were having, part of that conversation needs to be laying the groundwork for the price increase that's looming, right? The technologies that you're investing in, the people you're investing in, all of the things that they don't see behind the scenes that are getting them the results in a more efficient, better quality, and faster manner that you're absorbing the costs on if you're not increasing pricing. So I think that communicating those aspects of what you're doing to the client through the client success conversations also helps set the stage for raising pricing on the legacy clients. So we talked about raising pricing on the front end with new clients, right? Having that healthy pipeline. But when it comes to the legacy clients, also there's it's important that you have that healthy pipeline there as well, because you have to be in a position where you can lose a few, and you have to price it in a way that you expect to lose a few. And we've talked about one of the members before tons of times that He had tons of clients where we pushed him and pushed him and pushed him to raise pricing, and he ended up doubling the pricing and didn't lose any clients. He managed to actually keep them all and added 60 grand in recurring revenue by doing that. But, if you don't have that strong pipeline on the other end to back you up, worst case scenario, you lose half and you are doing half the work for the same amount of money. But then now you've got all the bandwidth to lean on that healthy pipeline to start refilling and bringing in more clients at the right price. So it's a win either way.
I also look at it as I've seen, and I've seen a lot of people that we've been coaching, in the groups around, staggering their offering rather than going for the jugular right away. And I'm thinking of Darla as a really good example and building a sales team. Talk a little bit more about that.
So we talk about the foot in the door, obviously, or you talk about the foot in the door with agency owners on the show all the time. This is something we discuss in our mastermind meetings. I would say probably every other meeting, if not every meeting in some capacity. And it's just walking through that relationship building process during the sale. It's not, going for the jugular after 2 meetings. It's the, not asking for marriage on the first date analogy that comes up all the time. I think I probably say that on virtually every call I have with someone that's interested in working with us, that it's just such a simple concept to build a relationship with someone and show them the progress as you ask for more, because it's a big ask to ask somebody to spend 5, 10, 15, 25K a month on something that they have very little to go on other than your case stories, whatever content you're creating, whatever authority that you've built. And so, working someone through a paid strategy, a foot in the door offering where you're really building out something together, you're building a relationship, and then leading into, a smaller splintering of the overall offering where you can show some results and some wins quickly. And then, talk about a long-term commitment. And by doing that, you're positioning yourself to where when you're asking for the longer term commitment, you're no longer competing on price because you've already built trust. You've shown some results. You've built a plan with them, but you've built it together. You've built a relationship. So that higher price ask is not as surprising and it's not as difficult because there's so much foundation behind it to justify it, and the understanding of the value is more visible at that point as well.
Well, it's all about trust. And if you all listening are like me, I start off with not trusting anybody and then you have to build trust. And that's how a lot of people are. And I don't like that about myself. But then if you're like Stacy, she starts off trusting everybody and then she starts taking the trust away, right? And I think there's a lot less people that way. And especially when you ask those big commitments, I look at it as a couple stages of you have to do this for the new clients coming in. You stagger this offering so you can charge more. And then you got to kind of get to a point, maybe a month, 2 months out and going, like you mentioned in the very beginning of the show, what's the opportunity cost of the difference between the new clients and the old clients? And when you start kind of figuring that out, then you're like, oh my gosh, it's taking me so much to manage all these. It'd probably be really good of eliminating half your clientele.
Well, and not only that, we've heard it so many times that, members will say when they finally do raise the pricing, the client says, holy cow, I was wondering if you were ever going to do this.
What took you so long?
A long time ago, or what took you so long? Exactly. It's just, it's expected. And it's, so, if you're not actively pursuing it, you're only hurting yourself in your growth. You're missing out on the opportunity because it's there for the taking.
I also think, and the members mentioned, you have to do it on a regular basis. You have to train. Remember, I always say, you're either training the client or they're training you. And so if you're going big gaps without raising your pricing, you're training the client that they're going to be grandfathered in forever. And then when you do go to them, it's going to be harder versus if every year you go to them, hey, we're increasing, to this percentage based on all the different details that you mentioned, and especially inflation. I mean, inflation's what, 9% now?
I don't even know. It's out of control.
I'm making stuff up. I'm just pulling stuff. I'm going to say 9%. Or no, let's say 11%.
That's fine too. 9/11.
Me and Darby don't really watch the news. We kind of
It's worse show on TV.
we shelter ourselves, and we're a lot happier, I think, because of it.
That's why we smile so much. Exactly. That's why we have a good time.
That's right. Darby, is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in on price about raising their pricing?
Nope.
God, why did you? You're supposed to say something, Darby.
I know I did it intentionally. Remember on the last one that I said no, and then I said something else.
Well, that's what every guest does. I go, is there anything I didn't ask? No, you did a great job, but let me tell you these 5 things. And I'm like,
I decided days ago when you asked me that question, I was just going to say no and nothing else.
well, and when we send them to the website, what are you going to add to it? In front of the website.
www.
There you go. There you go. Show your age, Darby. Are you going to add anything or no? Okay. All right.
No.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. For everyone listening, I want you to do a couple things. I want you to think about when's the last time you guys raised your pricing. I want you to look at your clientele and see how profitable they are. And then I also want you to look at the new pricing coming in and what's the opportunity cost. When you actually do this, I think you'll see a big gap, and there's a lot of money to be made by just kind of making a hard decision. I literally just interviewed an agency owner, built a $50 million agency in 5 years, has over 300 or 400 employees now. And I was like, and a lot of those first 10 are still with them in the leadership team. I said, well, how did you get there? He's like, I went through a lot of hard conversations. This is a hard conversation that you need to have with yourself if you're going to be transparent, as well as with your clients. And if you do it, I promise you, you'll be better off on the other side, even though it may not look that way and look kind of scary. So, and if you guys want to chat with Darby, where can they go and chat with you about a game plan?
jasonswank.com/Darby.
All right. Very hard. You should have said WW. I set you up for that.
jasonswank.com/Darby. DARBY.
All right, guys and gals, go there now. And Darby, thanks a lot for adding little to no value to this podcast.
That's what
Brought the bar way down.
Just makes all the other guests much better.
All right, take care. All right, guys. Until next time, have a swank dip.